Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades and Cheesesteaks. Continuing our top 10 players of the 2025 NFL season. Yes, we are getting super, super close to kickoff already because it's almost
Yeah.
the middle of June already.
Mandatory minicamp started, so that's always exciting.
I mean, the fact that it's June is like already wild to me. Like I thought we were still in April, personally.
Yeah, that's
But
that's true. Yeah, I think I feel you there. The months do fly, especially in the summertime.
yeah.
But it is getting there. Once you start seeing the news of holdouts and contract talks, you know we're getting close. So holdout season has officially started,
Yeah.
which is always fun.
Surprised, I mean, so we're gonna be to preface, we're doing top 10 interior defensive linemen, so like nose tackles, D tackles, and like three, four kind of edges. Um, but I think I saw a report that Terry McLaurin is kind of holding out, which is
Well, his
super
final year of his
interesting.
contract. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't blame the guy.
But then also Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals. He's
Well, yeah,
I
everyone
don't
knew that was
I
coming.
don't the Bengals are weird. Like they're like their biggest issue last year was defense, and they're like, you know what? Here's all of our money. Let's just put it into offense.
The
So
Bengals are such a cheap team.
yeah,
But they were gifted Joe Burrow, so they're like looking like a competent organization just because they were gifted Joe Burrow.
yeah,
And I think they were pretty much at the point where Joe was getting tired from what it sounds like. And they're like basically like, hey, the Eagles keep their players and their team's loaded. Why can't I have my two wide receivers that are studs? And I'm like, all right, Joe. Penny pinching, like probably gritting their teeth when they did it. Like, yes, happy to do this.
yeah.
But basically he said double birds up to Trey, be like, no, absolutely not. We got this money out. You pried that from our cold dead hands. There is absolutely no way anyone else is getting money. Good luck.
Yeah, the Bengals are like, having the amount of money that you can just casually go to a steakhouse and get whatever you want, but then forcing your like dinner party to only eat chicken nuggets. Like they just
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely you're not getting any fancy steak. Not
no,
here. You
no.
can be here. We're
Yeah, you can
here.
sit at the
But
table, but you can't
yeah,
eat.
you're
uh,
you're not getting anything. No starters. Absolutely no
uh-uh.
starters. Dessert's completely out of the question. Unless we're splitting it four ways.
Water, maybe.
Tap
Yeah,
only.
tap
No
only.
bottle. Don't give me any of that bottle stuff. But
Uh,
this time Joe Burrow demanded he's like, I'm getting the steak this year. It's like,
hmm,
all right, fine. We'll give you
yeah,
keep your offensive guys. But yeah, they're just a poor organization. Just cheap organization.
yeah.
And
Uh,
that's why people like I always get annoyed. The tush push is annoying itself, but the big rule change that would annoy me is the salary cap thing. Like really,
yeah.
it's just
Any way to
Lori
stop
is
the
willing
Eagles.
to Laurie is willing to put up money up front, and
Uh-huh.
other teams aren't, and why should he get punished for that?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just I don't know. I feel like the NFL is trying to attack the Eagles some for some reason. It's not like we didn't
Sadly.
just have a Chief dynasty that we, helped stop to make it the league more interesting, but the
Yeah.
Chiefs not winning, but whatever. But real quick though, speaking of the Eagles, because I don't think we touched on it last time, Saquon Barkley, the Madden 26 cover athlete. I'm
No,
like, yay, but nay, because running backs on Madden covers have all pretty much gotten injured. So that's,
it's
knock on
always a
wood.
nay.
Um, I mean, yeah, there was like what, 2000 to like, I don't know, like 2010, where like every player who was on the Madden cover like got hurt. Like McNabb was on the cover, like tore his ACL or something, I think. Vic was on
Yeah,
the cover,
it's
he was out.
miserable.
Um, but then like there was a streak, like I think Calvin Johnson was like Madden 13. He didn't, I think he played all 17 games, and Richard Sherman, I think, finished his season when he was on. Tom Brady was fine. Mahomes was fine. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I'm pretty sure they were fine. But yeah, last year McCaffrey was on it and he suited up like
Definitely not what you want to
twice.
see. Yeah,
So
he did not give you a good year
cool cover. I might get it just to have the memorabilia. But
just to get the cover. Like, I don't even
yeah,
need the disc. Let me just get
yeah,
the
I'll just
cover,
buy it off
please.
eBay. Like no CD because Madden's trash. I'll just get the.
Yeah, just
Get the
take the
cover.
cover, please, sir. That'll be the most broke boy like
Oh
request
yeah.
I'd ever heard.
Oh yeah. But I mean, congrats to him. It's a cool cover. Him, doing the backwards throw, and then the Kelly Greens. I don't know if we've ever had a Madden cover with the throwback uniforms on, so that's kind of cool.
It's been a while
But
since I've actually noticed the Madden cover.
yeah,
The
the
only reason I knew McCaffrey was on it last year was because immediately everyone said McCaffrey was on it last year.
Madden curse. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't even a thought. But I mean, listen, he had the biggest highlight all year, Madden or not. So, good for him.
Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. But anyways, on to our top 10 list. So interior defensive tackles, and Tim and I were talking earlier, before we started recording this, and the list has gotten better. A lot of like it's what's crazy though, there's a lot of veterans that are like 30 to like 34 who have like just been consistently good like as they've gotten older. So it's hard to like put in the youth and like kind of push out, you'd think they'd be falling off a little bit. Like, there's a Steelers defensive tackle that's probably on both our lists that I don't know how he's just fighting father time, is still putting
I
up
just
good
want to
numbers, but
I want to put this out there. I think it was 2021 where
mm.
you like didn't put him in your top five because you're like, oh, he's old and washed.
And 20, yeah,
And
maybe.
and here we are like 4 years, 3 years later, and I don't know if you're going to stick to that same argument. I mean, it has never worked out well for you, but go ahead, do you.
Let me
It
see.
is it is like a position that's become very valuable lately. Like a lot of interior defense linemen have been breaking the bank,
Uh-huh.
but it is also a top heavy or big name position. Like
Yeah.
I think of my 12, with honorable mentions, all but three of them have been on my list, like top 10.
Hmm.
There's three new ones. I
Three
knocked
new
off,
ones. Okay.
yeah. Vea and Matabuke were the ones I think I had last year that didn't
Uh-huh.
make it. And
Oh,
but
oh, Matabuke, the one I got an earful for.
yeah, that was a
He did
bad
have a good
choice.
year, but
I
the
mean, he
year
had a great
before,
year, but yeah,
yeah,
no,
this past
he
year
had
was
a yeah, no, he was the classic case of I'm gonna have an awesome year, the best year of my life in a
yeah,
contract year, and then immediately fizzled out quickly.
yeah.
So yeah, no, he was in not bad.
No, he wasn't bad by at any. He was
He was in the
still
honorable mention
top
talk, but
10 numbers, I'd say, but
he didn't make my top 10.
he was also he was my number 12, my honorable
Okay,
mention.
didn't
So,
make my honorable mentions either.
ooh, that is
I listen, part of me was like a little hurt because
I love when
like,
that happens.
everyone like was like, this is definitely a contract year, big moment. And they came out and it just fell flat and like went back to what he was. And it's like, I think that should be, punished more
Uh-huh.
for the 1 year breakout.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think he's had like what, 8 sacks this year, so it's not like he was like a slouch, but
Yeah,
um,
but yeah,
yeah,
it
definitely a
wasn't.
down year compared to what he put out in 2023. So,
It makes you think it was more like that was an odd year.
s-
That year wasn't what was going to become the
he's,
norm. It was
I
more
mean,
the odd year.
he's still pretty young, so I mean, I think he's
I'm
like what,
not writing him
27,
off.
28.
He's still there. We had heavy
Yeah,
consideration, but I feel like, just throw some other names out there.
fair enough. All right, so that's wasn't an honorable mention. So he was my 12. So I'll just roll into my other honorable mention. This one was rough because I really like him as a player. Great character, like not like person wise, just like he's a funny guy. I mean he could be a good guy, I don't know. But he was hurt last year and I don't that team is like a kind of a question mark, so we'll see what happens. He's still got a great teammate next to him in Max Crosby. So I had Christian Wilkins at 11, so he's my honorable mention of the Raiders. He was
Fair
great with
enough.
the Dolphins and then went and
Well, he
signed a
was
big
hurt last year.
contract. Huh?
He was hurt last year.
Yeah, that's what I
Can't
said.
grade him
I'm
off
saying
that.
like,
Yeah.
I don't we have to see how he recovers. I had a couple players that had some injuries on here, so I'm just trying to figure out what what's best, like what's kind of gonna how it's gonna roll. So we'll see, but still great
All
player.
right. Fair enough. Well, so my honorable mentions. Actually, it's funny you mentioned Kristen Wilkins because I think this is probably arguably one of the best pass rushers no one ever talks about.
Hmm.
So I went with Christian Wilkins' replacement and Zach Sealer from the
Okay.
Dolphins.
I considered him. He did not
You
make
know,
my honorable mentions, but
he had 10 sacks with Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins bounces, puts up another 10 sacks.
hmm.
I mean, the new age, why they're getting the money nowadays, interior defense linemen, is they're becoming more pass rushers. I mean, Aaron Donald had changed the position forever.
I mean,
When the
yeah.
guy was running up like 20 sacks forever. And that was the point where, all right, you need interior defense linemen that can pass rush. And you see it with Sealer. And I think he had a mini breakout year. It wasn't the Matabuke breakout year, but he followed it up with Wilkins gone, and I reward him as I deducted harder on Matabuke for not following up on his big year. I
hmm.
rewarded Sealer there. So nice, good player. I think he's only 27. Um, Dolphins defense as a whole kind of were let down, but he still shined. And then my number 11 guy that's consistent, was a little banged up last year, but still put up some solid numbers. I went with DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, I couldn't take him off. It was too hard.
Fair, he was a last
It
minute
was too hard.
slide off. I mean, this list is tough because you touched on Wilkins already, but there's a couple guys that have been injured. Like Buckner missed, I think he played 12 games or whatever. He still put
Yeah.
up some good stats for the games he played. The Colts defense, I think overall was pretty solid. Um, I always like to see linebackers. I think looking at what linebackers do is always a good indicator of your interior defense lineman. Obviously, their big role is to keep the guards and the centers off the linebackers, and
Yeah.
Zaire Franklin led the league in tackles. So, that's always a good sign when you're looking in the interior. But yeah, Buckner, he's again one of those big names. I could have switched him out with like the next five guys I have on this list. But yeah, we have him there right now.
That's your like number 11, you said, honorable
That
mention.
was my number 11. Yeah.
Well, good transition because he's my number 10 on my
Well, all
top
right.
10
So maybe I
list.
wasn't as crazy as you made me think at first.
No, I mean I was probably gonna it was between him and probably Wilkins or Matabuke, and I just
Fair
couldn't.
enough.
Yeah, I was like, you know what, he's the established guy, and you know what too, like when he left San Francisco, or he was traded, I believe, back in what was that 2020?
Hmm.
Um, I did not think he was gonna like continue being good. I was like, he's benefiting from,
Been
the
really
good
solid
San
with the
Fran
Colts.
D, but he's been, probably their best defender the last, 5 years that he's been there, 5, 6 years. Definitely, yeah, like you said, down year, he only played 12 games, 6.5 sacks, 61 combined tackles, and
Still good
still got
stats. To be
14
fair, I
QB
was probably
hits.
a
I
little
mean,
tough. He was a top five guy for me last year. And I don't know. I just there was a couple other
yeah,
names I liked.
he was
Um,
uh he was number 8 for me last year. So a little bit of a drop. Not too crazy.
so I'm gonna be completely like hypocritical of myself because
Hmm.
I'm dropping Buckner mostly because he was a little injured, he's a little older. But
Sure.
yet I have two guys on my top 10 that played less than him because of injury, and I still kept them on my top 10.
Okay.
But these guys are younger. I think they're both good. I think they both got hurt too early in the season to really do anything.
Uh-huh.
But we'll get to them because my number 10, new face on the list,
Oh.
hard to come by.
Hmm.
This is a guy it was weird to me because 15 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks.
Okay.
He had 40 quarterback hits, which led the league. I mean, he also played more like snaps than like anyone else. I think the only interior defensive lineman that played more snaps than was Jalen Carter, and that
Uh-huh.
includes the three playoff games. So, I mean, hey, the best ability is availability. So the guy's durable, but he put up some numbers to go along with it. I think he had a second team All Pro. Good year. I was happy. I think he's 27. I think we'd like to see it again, but he's definitely broke out this year. Denver defense as a whole looks pretty good. We got him, Browner, Surtain, obviously. Bonito was the big breakout.
Yeah.
It's a solid little unit they're
They're
putting
they're
together.
a
If Bo
good.
Nix keeps it up, they could be a sneaky little team in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean, our one of our guests, who's been on a lot, Nick, he was a bit of a Broncos fan growing up, and I mean, he dissociated with them from what I know, but maybe he's coming back now because they're starting to look good again. But he's an Eagles fan now, so that's neither here or there. But yeah, I good transition. Now my number 9 is actually Mr. Allen here.
Wow,
Um,
look at us. We're on the ball right now.
yeah, I don't like when we're agreeing because it
I
takes
mean,
away
we're
from the
only at
fun.
number
But
nine, so
yeah, so this was a young guy again. Put him over Matabuke, for example. But
yeah.
yeah, just had a really great season. I mean, So I think he was second team All Pro. Defensive Player of the Year. He came in like 14th in voting, which that's deep, but you still got a vote, so that's
Yeah, no,
something.
it's true. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like you said, I think the Denver defense overall is really come along, and then the 40 QB hits and the 1,000 snaps was
Hey, the
really
guy's
what
consistent. I mean, your
really what
stats are always going to look good when you're playing that much.
yeah, but that like stood like that's like you're an Iron Man, like you're
Oh, of course.
dependable, you're getting out there, you're getting aggressive, getting physical. And that's the kind of no D lineman you want. So
It's
yeah,
true.
good guy. I never heard of him when he was on the Cardinals, and then the second year with the Broncos, he's making a name for himself. So Zach Allen, my
Yeah,
number 9.
fair enough. I'd like to see him do it again, and then he's really going to get some love and
Yeah,
some
hopefully
votes there.
he doesn't become the Matabuke and
Yeah, it's true. No, I think
disappears for you.
I mean, it's always a good sign to see it like as the defense is growing. Like he's kind of in that spot. Don't see him leaving Denver anytime soon. Plus Denver, I mean, Bonito's a guy we'll talk about on the edge rushers. He's broke out a lot really big this year.
Yeah,
All right, so my next two guys, I'm going to group them together. So I'm just going to skip you as I normally do and
it's
decide
weird.
because
It's not
these
how that
two are
works, but
kind
okay.
of in the same basket for me. So this is where I'm a complete hypocrite because I was getting on Buckner about his injuries and bringing him down. But Derek Brown and Christian Wilkins. I actually have Christian Wilkins at 9 and Derek Brown at 8.
Okay.
Two guys I was high on last year. I actually was really high on Wilkins. I thought he was going to be great next to Max Crosby, and I was putting all my eggs in the basket.
As was I, yeah.
But he only played like 4 games. So it's really I feel like that's point is it's not even like something you can compare. You can't even gauge him. I think he put up a little bit. He had 11 tackles or 11 solo tackles, 2 sacks. So he gave you something, but new defense, you need a couple weeks to really settle in, and he didn't get the couple weeks.
Hmm.
And then Derek Brown, I mean, he didn't even play. He just blew out his knee
I
on
think the
week
first
1, and
game,
that was
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. So disappointing because I thought, I mean, the Panthers were awful the year before, but you thought he would be a piece. They kept I think they kept Horn. They traded Burns, but you Derek Brown there, and
Yeah.
you thought the young defense would have shown some more life. They were tragic after he got hurt, so maybe that's a compliment to him. Because not that they were a good team with him, but
True.
that defense just was awful, disgustingly terrible. But yeah, those are two guys. I'm still really high on them. They just neither of them played enough to really even give them a chance. So we'll keep him there, 9 and 8. Derek Brown he needs to stay healthy.
Fair
He's
enough.
he's been hurt before. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm still holding out hope for those two.
Yeah, last year I had, like I said, Christian Wilkins this year is my honorable mention. Just missed it. But last year he was number 7 on my list. And Derek Brown and last year was my number 5 because I was also really hyped for him. Post Brian Burns trade, I was like, he's gonna get we're gonna maybe see him unleash more. He's gonna have to step up, whatever. But
To be fair, I
yeah,
had them 7 and 8. I just bumped them down to 8 and 9 this time.
fair enough. I have
So
Derek
no,
Brown.
no real logic. This is like a Dakota draft because I bumped DeForest Buckner by 6 spots
Uh,
for being hurt, but bumped these two 1 spot each for not playing. So, but it's the outward thinking. I'm more confident in those two going forward than I think I am Buckner keeping it up.
Fair enough. I'm curious to see this guy if he made your list or not. Um, but I do have Derek Brown coming up very actually, since you double tap me, I had Derek Brown at 7. So um pretty much the same vein of what you were saying, like
What'd you have
Beast
last year?
5 last year.
Oh, okay, all right,
So I dropped him to 7.
that's fair.
Um, hoping that he recovers from his, like you said, week 1 injury. He's had plenty of time to heal and rehab. Um, for former All Pro, well, at least All Pro production. I don't remember if he was All Pro. I'm trying to remember, but yeah, the when you lose a whole season, it's kind of hard to grade. But he's still young. You know, strong, electric player, but beast in the middle there. So I have high hopes for him again. Who knows? I'm not gonna pick the Panthers to surprise again like I did last year because that was my
No, that
worst.
was a terrible
That was
pick.
my worst thing ever. But so he's my 7, and then my number 8 is trying to find where I put him years prior. So I had to like defend myself when I put him on my list before, I recall, when he was on the Giants. So I have number 8 here, Leonard Williams of the Seahawks. Did not
Mm.
expect him to have as good a year as he did. He made the Pro Bowl this year. He was also got a vote in the Defensive Player of the Year. He was around 14, 15 as well. But 11 sacks, you know,
Yeah,
20,
most by interior defensive
yeah,
lineman.
yeah, 28 QB hits, 16 tackles for loss. That's awesome. 64 combined tackles, and he played 16 games. So, and he had an interception. How many D
I
tackles
listen.
for a touchdown?
Yeah, I was to say that was a touchdown. The
Yeah,
guy, it was a long
92
one.
yards.
Yeah, I agree with you here too because I actually have him at number 7,
Oh,
so I have
okay.
him in the next spot.
Okay.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of the points. One thing I will highlight, which I think helped Leonard Williams going forward, but hurt Matabuke was Matabuke had the best year of his career with Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel moves on, and then Leonard Williams has the best year of his career with Mike McDaniel as his
Head
coach.
coach. Yeah.
Yeah, so the guy knows how to turn his D tackles into pass rushers. I was high on the Seahawks. They were my surprise team against your Panthers. Obviously, one of them made us look
My,
smart, and the other one made us look
my
fools.
Panthers.
But I liked what Mike McDaniel was going to take over. I thought he was going to put together a good defense. They didn't live up all the way to the hype, but Leonard Williams had a big year. I mean,
Oh,
he
yeah.
lived up to the hype that you would expect from Mike
Yeah.
McDaniel bringing in as the head coach there. So he was probably the biggest benefactor of McDaniel going there as the coach.
Yeah. I mean, if you just look at like his, you know, where was it?
He's
2020
he's
season.
also like a tough guy because he goes up and down. Like the
Oh,
Jets,
yeah.
he had like run really good year, but it was like a couple injuries, 3 years of down year. Then he moved on to the Giants. I think he had a really strong year the first year, then was kind of up and down again. So he's been up and down his whole career. Like we've seen this from him before, but we've also seen some real duds come from him as well.
I mean, his rookie season with the Jets, he was third in defensive rookie of the year votes. Then the next, he was also Pro Bowler the year after that. Then, like you said, he kind of was like inconsistent. He was more of like he reminded me a little bit of like a little Brandon Grahamish, where like the production's there, but the stats aren't. So it's kind of hard to like look at it on paper and be like, is he actually like a top 10 player at his position? Um,
Yeah.
but then yeah, he went to the Giants, did well for them, had a really good 11 and a half sack season in 2020. And then his numbers dropped quite a bit. And then, you know, he
Yeah,
had, I
because
think,
this is his second 11 sack game. And he's kind of really
yeah,
weird also that like
previous 2 years he
I
was hurt a
think
little bit.
minus the
So
one year, what was it? The one I have here, 2022, minus 2022. He's been extremely healthy, and like he only
yeah,
played 12 games that year. But that's what always confusing is like why you can't see it consistently from him when he really never misses time. But I mean, 2020, 30 quarterback hits, you had 11 and a half sacks. You know, he balled out, but yeah, this year arguably was even his strongest year yet. And I like him in this system. I like him with the coach. I think McDaniel brings out the best interior defense lineman, like we saw from Matabuke.
yeah,
So it's gonna be fun to see going forward. If he can just stay consistent, the biggest thing.
yeah. The last time he was on my list was 2021. He was number 6. And then 22 and 23, I think 22, I think because he was injured. Oh no, he was 10 and 22. And then 23, 24, he was like honorable mention deep. But
He's also like moved. This is his third team, and I think he was traded twice,
yeah, I mean,
which
but 3 teams since you were drafted in 2015, that's not that bad.
I
He's
mean, I think it was
30.
more the fact that he's been traded twice midseason. Or
Well,
no, was the Giants trade in midseason? No.
no. Um, yes, yes, it was.
Yes, that's also odd. Like, why you getting traded twice in season seems kind of odd to me.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, 54 and a half career sacks. No, good
He's not a
numbers.
bad player. It's just,
No.
you got to get him at the right year. So we'll see. But I think we're going to see a little more consistency from him. He's older. He's in a good system. So he's a guy I'm a little positive on going forward.
Do you know what college you went to?
USC.
Well, look at you. Well
Yeah.
done.
I remember a friend played football with him at USC,
Oh,
and I remember him talking, and his stories were always funny because he was like, one, he played against Saquon Barkley, and there was a bad highlight of Saquon Barkley just taking his soul. He just
nice.
broke him in
We love
half, and
that.
he owned it because he like showed us it, and he's like, dude, he's just something else. Like he's insane. But
Eh,
I remember what I found funny was Leonard Williams was 18, 17 when he was on a commercial with like some kid, and I always thought it was his kid, and he's like, dude, like sent him a Snapchat. He's like, "Who the hell is this kid? Why are you in a commercial with some kid?" And I thought that was hilarious. It's like, wow, I would
huh.
have thought they picked a player with a dad or like a kid for this whatever the commercial was, but no, it was a fake kid. So,
Interesting.
yeah, whatever. What do I know?
Yeah. All right. So that was so I think we are on your number seven now. Because
My number 7 was Leonard Williams, so we're on number 6.
so my number six. Okay.
Keep track, buddy.
Well, listen. All right.
Actually, I'm
Number
going to skip you again because that's what I do
that's
because this
okay.
is a
That's
great
crazy.
transition. Because number 6, I actually also have a Jets Williams defensive tackle. So we're going with Quinn Williams
Really?
this time, though. Yeah,
Wow. I mean, I pulled him back I mean, not a lot, but I mean,
all right.
he,
Ignore the fact that he's 6. Keep in mind the
I
names I'm
had
going
him
to give
at
you going
two
forward.
last year.
Yeah, I just did the top 5. I like
I get it. Uh,
they all better. Like the top. This is nothing to say to him. Like you could look at the top 6 as you would look at the top 5, but he kind of had a down year for him. I mean, again, the fact that the Jets were pretty awful last year,
yeah,
as they've been consistently doing. But he had the big breakout year in 22 and just kind of not bad, but he's not been the same disruptive force
I
that
agree.
we've gotten used to. But I mean, more importantly, it's just you look at the top 5 I have. When I tell you my top 5, just tell me where you were going to slide Quinn and Williams in.
I I think we
Guy's still
have
good.
at this point we have the same remaining players. I'm 100%
Of
confident.
course.
But
This is what defense tackles were. I was pretty
but
confident we'd have the same 10 players.
yeah, I mean, I even dabbled with my number one being changed, you know. So I think the
No, you
list is
didn't.
very fluid. Um, I did, and it wasn't an Eagle that I thought about replacing him with. But um,
You can make an argument for me that he could be 4, 5, or 6. I
okay,
wouldn't put him top 3, but I
that's
think 4, 5, and 6, I could sub him out there.
when I get to him, you'll see where he is. So,
All right, fair enough.
but so your number six was Quentin Williams. I have him
Hmm.
coming up in a bit. Spoilers, he is in my 4 to 6 range, so he's not
Fair
top
enough.
three. Um, I think top three is pretty obvious. But my number six is a guy similar to what's his name? Christian Wilkins. I like big fan. Super high on him. I think last year I had him before. But he's on a team that's kind of dog water and his numbers were a bit down this year compared to his previous seasons. I mean, he did have 50 solo tackles, which was um, pretty wild. But I have
Yeah.
the Titans defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons here at number six.
See,
So
this is where we're not too far off because I have Simmons at 5.
okay,
I've always liked Simmons as a player.
same,
I've
yeah.
always liked him better than Quinn Williams. I just think he's a force. Plus, I'm hearing he's 20 pounds lighter this year. I think
Oh
he could be looking in. Yeah. I mean, you can factor he missed the first year of his career, the rookie year, because he was like hurt in what was it, like the combine or something. His team,
yeah,
like
I
his
played like nine
big year was
games.
3 years ago. Um, the last 2 years, the Titans have been so booty
Yeah,
that it's hard to really give him any love. The fact that he put up any numbers on this booty Titans team, I think is credit
well,
to him. But I think that the Titans as a whole are going to be a better team, and I think he'll really crush it.
it's kind of his numbers are like weird because they're not they don't stack up well against the rest of my top 10. I mean, 11 tackles for loss is probably towards the bottom of my top 10, 9 QB hits, only 5 sacks, but he had 2 forced fumbles and he made the Pro Bowl. I don't know if it's
I
from
mean, you
like
say
an
only 5
alternate.
sacks. You're talking about only 5 sacks for a team that won 2
I
games.
know, I know,
How many
I
times do you
know.
think they were leading?
But you know, we have standards to meet here on the Post-Fades and Cheesesteaks podcast. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
but yeah, I mean, I love. He's such a high motor guy. He's so freakishly athletic for his size.
Hmm.
Um, so hoping he has like a nice get him some support. I feel like the Titans have added some pieces. They're still going to be crap, but hopefully he it's not going to hamper him to the point where he can kind of, I mean, say get back to where he is. He's 4 of the last 3 years he's made, or excuse me, 3 of the last 4 years he's made the Pro Bowl. So
I mean, my biggest
and
thing,
been
like,
All Pro number two, All Pro team two. So
so his rookie year in 19 was basically a write-off because he got
yeah,
hurt pretty substantially in
redshirt.
the combine or whatever it was. Played a couple games there, but like dude was hurt, just trying to get back under him. The next year was like an actual rookie year at 20. Like he actually played 15 games. Like, you can't really even grade him off the first year because the guy was hurt all year, missed all that time, and then by the time he came in, he's just learning.
Yeah.
21 was the breakout, and 22 was strong. And then you kind of saw a decline in the Titans overall.
Oh yeah.
Like the 23, he missed time from injury, which hurt him. But this year he's pretty, you saw more Jennifer Simmons. It's just the team had 2 wins. They suck. You can't really do much when your team is just awful.
Yeah. I mean, they got. We'll see what how the new quarterback does. But yeah, they're still going to be a bad team. So
Yeah, but they'll be a little more competitive than this year.
yeah. So he was your five.
Yeah.
So my number five, which is probably your number four, is Cam Hayward of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ooh, at number 5, you just keep playing this song and dance. Just give the guy his love.
What do you have him at?
I, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but not at
Really?
5. Like this is the same thing every year from you. You're gonna tell me how he's old, and you're gonna tell me how
He is
I just
old.
don't trust him. Dude, the guy was a first team All Pro this year.
Okay.
He
I
just every single year you tell me this, and I come back to you and
You know
say
what?
this was arguably his best
You
season of his
know,
entire career.
wait. You know what's funny? My takes on Cam Hayward are basically Flurry's takes on Derrick Henry, where I'm like, eventually he's gonna suck. And
And just like
eventually
his
he's gonna be too
ass
old.
takes on Derrick Henry, your ass takes on
Yeah, but
Cam Hayward.
I'm just he's top five. What do you like?
Listen, I have him
Yeah,
higher
seven
than
Pro
top 5.
Bowls, 4 All Pros, lovely, chef's kiss. But like,
I sipped your Kool-Aid last year and had him at 10, but this year I came to my senses.
did he make the Pro
And
Bowl? Yes. Did he make All Pro first team? Yes.
oh, okay. Does
Was he
that matter?
getting Defensive Player of the Year votes? Sure. But
When
he's
do you
gotta
start the argument for him not being top 3? He's at least top 3.
mm,
I just think you're insane.
no, he's 36.
Look at who cares? He had 11 defended as a defensive tackle.
8 sacks.
I,
Not
listen, I'm just
that
talking
I have
about.
players above him that didn't get 8 sacks, but
I mean, do you have any defense tackles that had 11 passes defended? Like he's still playing that old school, what do you
he's
call it?
got the
TJ
mitt,
Watt or JJ Watt, like just bats the
a
ball down because he's
squatter.
so big.
Yeah.
Dude, they end plays. You're talking about a guy that had just the same amount of pass deflections as Jalen Ramsey and still ended up putting up 8 sacks, who was, I don't know, I think that was more than Jeffrey Simmons, Quentin Williams, pretty much every guy we've talked about besides Leonard Williams.
Yeah.
I think you're insane. I mean, actually, I know you're insane from doing this enough times with you.
I mean, he like top five is not disrespect. I don't. I.
It is disrespectful. You do this every year. I don't know. I don't understand why you keep fighting this so much.
I
He's a top
mean,
3 dude.
you could put him in top three based on name, but like I don't think he's
You're putting
better.
Quentin Williams ahead of him based on
I
name, and
am.
that's it. The fact that he's younger and his name, that's the only reason Quentin Williams is in your top, I guess, 3.
I okay. I can understand you putting him over Quinn Williams, but I don't think he's better than my top three right now.
It's just every year. It's just the same thing with you and Cam Hayward. And then next year you're going to tell me, oh, well, he's old, even though he came out again and balled out.
He's a great player. He'll probably be a Hall of Famer, but I I think
He
five is
continues to
not.
have his best year
I don't think he's ever been
every year.
higher than. Let me see. Let me see my
I
list.
know, because you're insane. And you know, when we started this in 2019 or 2020, you would have made the same argument.
20
Oh, he's old. He can't keep this up.
2024. Well, he had 2 sacks in 24. I think he was hurt a bit of the year.
He
24, I
probably
had him
loved it.
6. 2023, I had him 6. 2022, I had him 6.
Dude,
20,
this and you know he keeps getting better. Like this is the insane part to your logic. Is
and
each year
he
he's gotten
did.
better.
Now he's number 5, which is higher than number 6.
Oh, yeah, how many all-pro teams did he have to make to finally bump up a spot?
Um, 4.
I mean, the guy had 10 sacks, 10 and a half. He was hurt last year, but take that away, put up 8. The passes defended are insane. Like nine
Mhm.
pass defended with 10 and a half, and then this year he gives you 11 and 8. The guy is like getting so much better.
I'm
50
fine.
solo tackles that year. I mean, it's just
I'm
you're insane.
I'm fine with number 4, but I
Tackles
don't.
for loss, 15, 14, and 12 the last three of the last 4 years. Like, I mean, just he's gotten so much better. Like his years now are significantly better than what they were 5 years or 6 years ago.
Fair enough. I'll let you defend
Just
him when we get to it.
completely
But
insane. He's gone up, he's stayed flat for you and then gone up one spot in the last 4 years when he's arguably had the best years of his entire career.
I, 5 is still great. 5 is great.
Hmm, fair enough.
All
All
right.
right.
So what was your 5? Um,
My five was Jeffrey Simmons.
so who's your number 4?
My number four. You know what? I'm okay with this. I don't want to be a complete homer, so I thought four was
Eh,
respectable. He's not, I don't think he's ready to knock off the top three. I mean, these are guys that were on my top three, I think, last year or prior years, but Jalen Carter's there. I mean, he broke out. I said this last year when he was 11, like he was going to break out this year. The guy looks so good.
yeah,
His pass rushing is just as good as any defense tackle or interior defense alignment in the league. Could work on the run game. That's the only thing I would
for
say. I
sure.
mean, it
Yeah.
helps when you play next to Jordan Davis. That's definitely not your priority.
Yeah.
I think they have a nice yin and yang where Jordan Davis really gives you nothing in the pass rush game, but he just can't be moved in the run game.
True.
Where Carter's doing nothing for you in the run game, but he's just you can't even double team the guy. He's just too good. So, Jason Hayward effect, he won a Super Bowl. That always bumps you up quite a bit. But yeah, second team All Pro. The guy definitely broke out. I mean, he was incredible. He was durable, played second most snaps of any D tackle this year behind
Yeah.
Zach Allen. The extra games of being a Super Bowl champion, never forget. Also,
Hmm.
obviously helps. But this is a guy keeps this trajectory. You're talking about the number one spot. I mean, I'd have to think we have the same number one guy because post Aaron Donald, he's got the stranglehold. But at
Maybe.
24 years old, he's just insane.
Yeah. Um, he's not my number 4.
It's fine.
And now that I'm like thinking about it, I'm standing pat like on where I have Hayward, but looking at purely stats and his history, I don't hate Cam Hayward at 3. I'm assuming that's where you have him. But yeah, I just went with a bit more of a youth movement for my top half. So my number
That's
four,
the same every year.
uh, my number 4 is Quentin Williams. I think the Jets had a weird year last year. They went,
Unbelievable.
when they fired Saleh, that whole defense collapsed. Like
The whole team collapsed.
they were a mess. So I'm hoping he'll. I think they hired another. Didn't they hire another defensive minded head coach? Glenn, wasn't he
Yeah, Glenn from
from the
Detroit.
Lions?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how that ends up, but I expect him. He's had like the last 2 seasons have been kind of like weird for him, I think. Um, so I'm expecting him to really bounce back. I mean, he went from 10 and a half sacks and I mean 2021 he had 90 tackles. And then in the 20 range for QB hits and 15 plus tackles for loss. And then last year, a bit of a dip, but I think the once that team gets a little straightened out, I think he'll be back to I mean, even last year, Pro Bowl, he made all pro first team. So, I mean, or no, wait, who am I looking at here? I was gonna Cam Hayward. Oh my God.
Oh my. So you're using Cam Ray Hayward's stats
I was like,
to
wait a
sell
minute,
me on
wait a
Quentin
minute.
Williams.
All right, you know what? Now I sound like, you know what? Oh, fine, we can flip them. I'll put,
Ah, listen, the
I'll
time has
put,
changed. No, no, no. Because
I'll
you know
put
what?
Cam Hayward at 4, and we'll put
I
Quentin
don't want to
Williams
hear
at
this.
5.
No,
Now that
because
I'm
I
looking,
had to put some sense in you because Cam Hayward is my number three. And I've said enough about him to
once
like
I said All
educate you.
Pro team versus team, I was like, this is not his numbers.
I mean, you talk about a guy 11 pass defended and then 12 tackles for loss. Find me another player that is putting up those stats because you have him pass defenses as like an elite defensive back with 12 tackles for loss is like an elite defensive lineman.
Yeah,
He's just disruptive. Throw in the 8 sacks just for shits and giggles. And just the best year of his career. He's when he starts slowing down, then I'll knock him off. Like I did last year. I'm a man of integrity. He didn't have a great year last year. I bumped him to 10. He had a great year this year, arguably the best of his year. Bumped him back up to a top three.
fair enough. Yeah, I don't hate it. I've made some calls that aren't so great in our tenure of these 5 years of doing this
You
podcast,
were right
but
about that.
I I officially bumped Cam Hayward to 4,
No, it's
but
too late for that.
yeah. So yeah, Quinn Williams just I think the fact that I didn't put the right numbers out there, but um, yeah, he'll. I'm waiting for. I think he's gonna have a rebound year. Let's put it that way. So I'm higher on him than I am, um, lower. But whatever. My number 3, and it could be a bit of a homer call, but this is also like a projection, just based off how last year ended, how the playoffs went. And his numbers like don't scream at you. Like so Jalen Carter's my number 3. Last year I think he was my number 9. So like huge jump. Um, yeah, 4.5 sacks, 42 tackles, 16 QB hits. It's not the sexiest. Two forced fumbles, pretty big. Um, but he played 16 games. What really stood out to me was just the fact that he was like I think he was the number 1 or number 2 most double teamed interior defensive
Oh
lineman
yeah, of
of
course.
any. So like he was getting, and like you said, he played a shit ton of snaps, but he was getting double teamed. I saw a couple of triple teams where he was like still getting through. He's just a beast, like you said. The run, he doesn't really have to worry about the run stopping as much when you have a suffocating black hole in Jordan Davis. But the pass, I mean, he sealed the Rams game in the playoffs for the Eagles.
That's true.
He
That
was
was
a
impact player right there.
I mean, he wasn't really needed against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but he was a wrecking machine against. He was in Mahomes' face all game.
Yeah,
So I think impact wise, beyond stats, and Cam Hayward has, a leadership impact as well. But I think Jalen Carter is going to take another big step this year. Maybe a little premature to put him in the top 3, because it could be, this could still be a building year for him. But I'm betting on him taking a bigger leap. I mean, we went rookie year to this past year was a not stat wise, but impact wise, I think was a big leap. Pro Bowl, second team All Pro, got Defensive Player of the Year votes.
yeah,
So we'll see. Great news for us Eagles fans, and hard to rank your own players sometimes, but I do think he belongs in the top 5 at the least from what his impact has been so far, and only played 2 years. So
that's true. Nice. He's young. He's in that range.
yeah,
When Cam Hayward decides to call it quits, the younger generation is ready there to take the torch.
you know what? I hope he proves me wrong again and has another Pro Bowl All Pro year.
I mean, probably will.
Yeah.
I'm moving to my top two, and my top two is actually exactly the same from what I had last year.
Okay.
Um, and it's so we'll start off with Dexter Lawrence in my number two.
Yep.
He was a little banged up, played 12 games, but if you look at his still he managed to put up 8 tackles for loss, 9 sacks. I mean,
Hmm.
the 9 sacks are top three of these guys that we've already talked about, and he only did 12 games. I actually really like the Giants defense. Hate to say it going forward. I remember saying this, I think it
Yeah.
was when we were doing our mock draft, like draft Abdul Carter so you can at least be elite at one thing. This team needs to win next year where everyone's getting fired. They are elite pass rushers. Dexter Lawrence is up there with Jalen Carter, Chris Jones, elite pass rushers in the interior. Put him with Burns, put him with Abdul Carter. Those three guys will win games for the Giants. The pass rush will win games as long as he stays healthy because the guy's a force. He's so big, so quick, so strong. Um, I mean, it's just the Giants are on the verge of wasting another career
Oh,
and with Dexter Lawrence because they've been pretty awful every single year of his career. They really just cannot figure it out. They've had talent, they just can't figure it out.
yeah. I also have Sexy Dexy here at number two. Um, I did dabble with the idea of replacing him with our number one because our number
No,
one
it's
didn't
not
have
it.
a career year like he normally does, but he's kind of set in stone there. But
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll let you have your Dexy moment, but
um, actually, I agree with all your points. Did you know he was part of the Odell Beckham Jr. trade? They got the draft
oh, so
pick.
that was the first round pick the Browns sent.
Yeah, and then they took Dexter. And looking back at the time, you're like, "What the fuck are the Giants doing?" But if you look
Worked out
back,
pretty well for them.
they actually won that trade, I would argue.
I mean,
Um,
even without knowing Dexter Lawrence was part of it, I would have said they won the trade regardless.
but
Odell fell off pretty quickly.
yeah, I mean, he got hurt, and then they had inconsistent quarterbacks, so it was kind of tough. I think he still would have been really good with the Giants if he stayed, but that's a whole nother story. I lost my train of thought, but yeah, he's Dexter Lawrence. It sucks that he's a Giant, but he's a hell of a player. He was leading the league in sacks before he got hurt, and like this is over
Yeah,
like Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett. Like he's a I mean we're talking about Jalen Carter's pass rushing, and Dexter Lawrence is probably above him right now, but um, he's just been what did he finish with this year? Finished with 9 in 12 games for D tackle. Yeah, that's
yeah.
still made the Pro
He's
Bowl in
he's
12 games.
he's insane pass rushing.
Yeah.
Him, Burns, and Carter will be a problem.
Somehow had a career I know he didn't. I lied. I thought it was bold. But he still had 44 combined tackles in only 12 games. It's close to his career totals. 16 QB hits, forced fumble. So he was still making an impact. The Giants just like kind of like in Jeffrey Simmons, case, they just suck. So,
That's true. They do stink.
but
But that leads us to our number one.
yeah, he
And I'm
he's
gonna just say this. He's got the torch of Aaron Donald left.
yeah.
I'm not giving this up. Like he's the next torchbearer. And you do mention that like his stats were down for what we normally see, but he still managed to get first team all pro. The guy shows up in the playoffs. They went to the Super Bowl again. He's he's a guy that's moved past the stats. He doesn't need to have 15 sacks like he did at other points in his career. He's just such a force. The defense is built around him. They've lost pieces and they're still fine. He is impactful and easily one of the best, top five, best, arguably top five. What do we think? Defensive players in the NFL?
Right now.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh, I mean for
he's in
pure
the
in
conversation.
yeah, for pure impact. I mean, if he's our number one on our list, I would think he would be in
I
conversation.
mean, you get a couple of those edge rushers. You want throw Surtain in there. I wouldn't hate it, but he'd get a couple,
I
he'd
mean,
get
I
strong
don't
consideration.
I don't know if it obviously they got torched in the Super Bowl, but I mean
Not because of him.
when he is not on the field, he's one of those players when he's not on the field, like
Oh, yeah.
the the attention that Chris Jones gets, and he is also my number one, obviously. But the attention he gets from, teams, they have to scheme for him like, he like you said, passing the Aaron Donald torch, like he is that good of a player right now and has been for a while because it was him, Fletcher Cox, and Aaron Donald since started this. I think D
Yeah.
tackle was our first ever episode we recorded. So,
Sounds about right.
but yeah, Chris Jones. Actually, if I remember correctly, you didn't have Chris Jones in your top 10 because you forgot him when we first did it.
That doesn't sound like something I
Nah,
would have
it
done.
sounds like something you would.
It does not.
I'll go back and find the footage, but I'm pretty sure you
Let me know where
forgot
you
him.
had Cam Hayward that year when you do it.
Okay. Anyways, but no, I think to say he's top five, you factor in stats, you factor in The experience, the
Impact.
leadership, the impact. Like when he is on the field, he makes that team 10 times better. Um, so whenever he decides to call it a career, the Chiefs, hopefully they have a replacement plan. I mean, we see the Rams had Jared Verse is stepping in nicely to kind of take over that Aaron Donald podium. But yeah, I mean, Chris Jones has just been so good for so long that there's really,
Oh, he's turned that team right. Like everyone says, Mahomes, Kelsey, Mahomes, this and that, which is fair. But you remember when Mahomes like first started breaking out, like the Chiefs could not stop anyone. Like that, remember
yeah.
that like the shootout on Monday Night Football they had with the Rams? Like their defense was awful. And then the emergence of Chris Jones, that was when the defense started changing. Because I mean, honestly, the Chiefs the last couple of years, you could argue are a defensive team. Like their defense
Oh,
almost was more a
yeah.
part of them
Beyond
winning than
argue, I think
anything.
it was a fact.
Yeah, as Tyreek Hill left, and you had a
They
Rolodex of
won the
different wide
last,
receivers.
they won the previous Super Bowl in defense.
Yeah, I mean, you've had some good names come through. Snead, McDuffie's a stud,
Yeah.
Bolton, D Ford, but he was the solid. He was
D
the one
Ford.
that yeah, he when he started hitting his stride, that was when the Chiefs defense started to become legit.
Eh. Yeah, I mean, they have a handful of elite players that important. Like, I mean, Travis Kelce was our number one tight end for a while, and obviously this year he wasn't. But I mean, Pat Mahomes is going to be in the top three without a doubt of quarterbacks. So they have incredibly impactful players at super important positions. I mean,
I mean, that's how you become a
you
dynasty.
how many times has the proof been in the pudding that you win championships in the trenches, whether it's a great offensive line, great defensive line. Like so many times, teams that win are able to either A, hold their quarterback up and provide, lanes for their running back to run in, or B, their D line is able to suffocate people and, stop, cause havoc. So, yeah. Chris Jones, I mean, I think he missed didn't he hold out the first game last year and they lost to the Lions? Or was
Was
that the
that
year
this year
before?
or the year before? I forget. But yeah, it was like very obvious. He just sat there in the press book booth and they're
Yeah.
like, all right,
And they're like,
sorry, Chris,
we gotta pay him.
we got you.
We gotta pay him. So, but yeah, Chris Jones. So our 1 and 2 is the same. The Jalen Carter, I'm a little early on him. You had him at 4. The Cam Hayward debate, whatever. He's top 5 for me. That's all that matters.
I mean, it's
And
at
then
least.
we got some younger guys. There's a lot of like 27, 28-year olds that are like in their prime right now. Quinn Williams, Justin Simmons, Dexter Lawrence, like they're all in their
It's a youth
peak.
movement position. When Darren Donald had, I think Chris Jones is only 30. Like, I mean, it's not that
Yeah, I
outrageous.
mean, they're all like a
I
couple
mean, Dexter
years.
Lawrence has got to be 25, 26. And
Chris
he's in that Chris Jones, like, I'm
Chris Jones will be
behind.
31 to start the year, but
Okay. And Dexter Lawrence is in that previous Chris Jones position where I'm behind a Hall of Famer, but I'm comfortable too. And I'm never going to get one until this guy moves on.
yeah. But um kind of wow. Well, what's your birthday? July?
Yeah.
What day
I
is
don't know
it?
why that's relevant. The 18th.
Mm. Yeah, so you're younger. Chris Jones was born July 3rd, 94.
Mm,
Dexter
it's a good month.
Lawrence, 1997. He's 27
Yeah. See. Yeah. See,
from Wake
he's ready to
Forest. I
take
didn't
that
know he
up.
went to Wake Forest.
Dexter Lawrence, he got to
Yeah.
Wake Forest. I think he went to Clemson.
Oh, Wake Forest High School. My fault. I was
You're
like,
really on it today.
I don't have my glasses on. That's probably the problem. I'm squinting. Yeah, he did go to Clemson. You're right. And where did Chris Jones go? Mississippi State. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But all right. I mean, a little bit of arguing with the Cam Hayward, but otherwise, I think we're pretty much in line. Some D tackles that are coming off injury, big question marks.
Yeah. I'll give him one more year. Wilkins
Yeah,
and Brown got to show it to me next year.
yeah. We'll see. Some really good D tackles and some really bad teams as well. But
Yeah.
like actually, a lot of, I mean, the Jets, the Giants, Titans,
Panthers.
Panthers, Raiders. Ugh.
Yeah. They all stink.
Yeah. Well, we
Well,
shall
we'll
see.
see.
Well, alrighty, another good list, and see where Jalen Carter ends up. Hopefully, I'm in the right there. But
Till next time.
next time,
Peace.
peace.